spooky month.
Oh my God, it's also spooky, isn't it? This is my ghoul daughter. Look, Tim, she looks just like your hair.
Right.
She got the
She
same
could
hair.
be our love child.
It's our love child, except her eyes are, what color are your eyes? Your eyes are blue, Tim,
Blue.
right?
Yep.
Okay, well, her eyes are electric green. Hi, everybody. Welcome to If These Walls Could Talk. I am Wendy Stuart.
And I am Tym Moss.
And this is our love child. Her name is Miranda.
Better than Annabelle.
We just kind of dug her up for today.
Yes, because it's spooky time.
Spooky time. Tim, how much do you love Halloween? It's like the best.
I love it. I love it. Firstly, and what's so weird is a lot of times on Halloween, I really don't do anything because that's the day that everybody dresses up and goes out and gets wild. Hell, I do that all year round.
Right.
You know? Halloween's nothing new to me.
Well, I do it all year round, but I have at this point 4 parties, and I'll be doing outfit changes because you don't want to be a Halloween outfit repeater.
Exactly.
So it's hard to and I have a huge amount of costumes, probably over 75. But I got to tell you, I got to get everything laid out and wigs and the whole so much work.
Yeah, I've got so many shows coming up this month, plays short plays that I'm doing around Halloween, and that weekend in particular, in the Halloween weekend, I'm doing 2 short plays in a series that runs the 28th, 29th, and 30th. And then on one of those nights, I have a show, an appearance, or I'm doing a 20-minute set down at a club in the East Village.
Great.
So I'm going to do my opening number from my 60th birthday, where I have to have a walker and all of this. So I'm going to be
dragging that's a costume right there. That was so funny.
I'm going to be dragging the walker and the thing and a big coat and all of this and my jumpsuit underneath and all of that all over town that day.
I love it.
Up and down subway stairs, and it'll be a fun night.
Oh my gosh.
The life of an entertainer in New York City.
That's what it's all about. Well, I got to tell you, you know what I did this weekend? We do this big fashion show for the tri-state area. It's called the Phoenix Fashion Show, and it is a gender bender fashion show with vintage clothes. And I got to tell you, hairpieces, masks, everything you could possibly think of, accessories up the wazoo. And I have people that identify male in female clothes, people that identify female and male clothes. And then, whatever you want to wear, you can wear anywhere in between. And what I love about it is on that runway, you see people that are, they're not models. They're people, they're normal people like me and Tim. But when they put on those costumes and they become like the character on the runway, they come to life. Let me tell you, Anna Wintour from Vogue ain't got nothing on the Phoenix Fashion Show. Isn't that true, Miranda? She said that she's happy. Her eyes light up.
Well, this last weekend, I was in Scranton. I went up to reprise the role that I originated, which is called Donnie in The Little House on the Ferry.
Love that.
And I love that show, and it's really gaining some momentum. And it was a huge production, and it was a wonderful weekend with a wonderful cast and production company.
You're at the Ritz Theater, which is
right downtown and huge. Yeah. But that weekend also in Scranton, which I had never really been to Scranton, but they had the marathon, a full 26-mile marathon. So I walked over and watched some of the runners come in out at the courthouse square.
Oh, cool.
And then because it was right behind the theater, and it was also the Fringe Festival this weekend. So 2 friends of mine, Nanette Deasy and her husband, Robert Baumgartner, were doing their show at the Scranton Film Festival. So I got to go out and have coffee with them, hang out a little while, and then go see their show before my show. So I love when that happens.
I know, when everything is kismet. It's certainly when that happens, like in Pennsylvania, or as I call it, Pennsyltucky. Yeah. Now, I want to make sure. Yeah, tell me. We got to tell everybody about Friday night.
Oh, Friday. I was going to say Friday and Saturday. This Saturday night, I am in a short play again in a series from the Familia Repertory Company.
Cool.
And it's at 353 Studios on West 48th Street. So
and that's Saturday.
Saturday night.
And Friday night is the one and only Icavelli's 50 Shades of Gay. And we're both in it, along with Jacqueline Dupuy, of course, Icavelli. It's going to be at the Copa. It starts, first it was 8, now it says 8:15, but you all get it. You know when it's going to start. Please come. It's a really fun show. It's an interactive show, and the Copa is a fabulous space.
And Wendy will be hosting it, and I will be singing.
Right. I will also be singing, although you don't call what I do singing. I write parodies, snarky political parodies, and I will be, let me just say, performing the parodies. So we're looking forward to all of our friends coming. Anyone who's listening, please come on down. You're going to have fun.
Absolutely. Now, before our incredible guest comes out, I just want to say thank you for tuning in to If These Walls Could Talk with your hosts, Wendy Stuart and Tym Moss. And we will be right back with our wonderful and incredible guest.
Okay. So we are back. This is Miranda. For those of you who didn't get her name the first time, just call her by her name. She likes it. Her eyes light up. So she's perfect for the guests that we're going to have on today. Our guest today is known as the Minister of Death. I love that. He's an Emmy Award winner and a cult horror icon. How about that? His latest solo show is about Satan. And you know what? We're looking for some thrilling conversations. We're live here at PANGEA, or should I say dead at PANGEA, keeping with the holiday spirit. Welcome, Bill Oberst Jr.
Hey. I love you people.
We love you too.
We love you too.
You are my people. I was the very prototypical theater kid. I had no outlet to be anything until I discovered theater. And
I love
it. Isn't it a wonderful world?
Oh, it is. Oh my God. I live and breathe it. There's nothing like theater.
It's
nothing like theater.
But you know what? In all honesty, I love doing things live, but I also love taping projects. I love film, and I love every aspect of this business. And for me, for my career, I want to have the balance of everything. That's what I need to keep going.
Same here, because especially if you're doing like film or television, if you mess up the scene or something, you can go back and do it again.
That's great, right?
You can't do that in theater. You just got to roll with it.
And I don't know about you guys, but when I'm very people oriented. So when I'm working at an audience, I feel the audience. But then when I'm doing a film or TV, I want a relationship with the director or the producer or the camera person or something like. So there's a person that I'm pleasing. Are you that way?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, and what you're saying, you have an intense need as a performer to be able to connect, whether it's on a set with a few people or for a whole audience. To me, you cannot be a performer unless you can connect. And you know what? With film and TV, that will show immediately. I'm sure we've all seen actors. They are what you call technically correct, but nothing is happening when they're on there.
Yes, and I would rather an actor be a little sloppy technically or not know exactly what's going on, but connect. If the eyes are there, at least on camera, something's going to happen that's good.
So, Bill, you have this incredible career. You have a current show that's going to be about Satan.
Yes, it's called Adversary, and appropriate for this time of year. Although, perfect. I guess the idea of Satan's appropriate any time of the year. So I've always been.
Wait, I got to
around.
So I'm always cast as evil or borderline evil, or these malevolent characters. So it makes me think about evil. What is it? Where does it come from? And for generations, we personified evil in this figure of Satan. So I love to read. So I took 3 classic portrayals of Satan from literature and put them together. So it's sort of a literary clip show, and I act out all of them. And there are it's like 3 faces of Satan. So I want to tour this around to fringe festivals. I'm really interested in what evil is and where it comes from.
Right.
Right. Well, again, it all through time, and especially religions, they preach the good side of being a human. Right. And for somebody to do something bad or evil, it's almost like, oh, well, I can't accept responsibility for that. So I have to say, oh, it's Satan. Oh, it's something out there. It's something that made me do, you know what I mean?
Evil force, right?
It's hard for people to admit that an evil thought or an evil action actually comes from them.
Well, that's right. And I've noticed, Tim, also that, I mean, I've done a lot of bad stuff in my life. And when I've been forgiven by the people I love, thankfully. But when I talk about that to someone I know, they'll almost immediately say, oh, well, it wasn't your fault, or, oh, it wasn't that bad. Because we're really not comfortable with saying human beings can choose by themselves to do very bad things. We don't want to think it about ourselves or others.
But you know what, Bill? That boils down to the age-old accountability. Accountability. And now more than ever, to me, we are in a time of like no accountability. There's no accountability. You just do your own thing. And I don't want this one telling me, I want religion telling me what to do, the government telling me, don't tell me what to do. And then I don't have to be accountable. We all have to be accountable for our actions.
But we're accountable to one another on this small planet. I think if you don't have the feeling that the person across from you on the subway, in some sense, is a part of your family and a part of you, then life becomes very bitter.
Agreed. I absolutely agreed. So the thing that you are so well known for, besides all your acting roles, I actually went online and pulled up that Lollipop project. Can you talk about that? Because I got to tell you, and talk to Tim about it. It is really freaking scary. So much so, I couldn't do it. I'm like, no, I was really afraid that all my personal information, like if anyone was on at that time, they were going to steal everything about me. Could you talk about that?
It was a Facebook app, Tim, and it won an Emmy, and it was done in 2012. And then people didn't have a lot of thought about online privacy. You're just putting everything out there. So it took Facebook's rules, didn't break any rules, but it accessed people's profiles, pulled out where they live, personal pictures, and they have this grungy, creepy stalker who's pawing through your personal information and
my God,
running his hands over your pictures and salivating. And we filmed it in Los Angeles in Linda Vista Hospital, an old creepy hospital, which has been in hundreds of films. We're down in the basement and I'm pawing at this blue screen. I'm in a white beater and I'm sweaty and I have no idea what I'm doing because it was a secret. So the director, Jason Zada, just keeps whispering in my ear. I said, Jason, he said, just paw the screen. I said, what am I looking at? He said, go deep, go dark. And I said, how dark? And he said, you can't go dark enough. So that's what I tried to do.
Tim.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. It is really scary.
That is a television show or an online show.
It was a Facebook app. And Facebook banned it as a malicious app after it got 100 million views. And then the creator said, guys, we didn't break your rules. This is what anybody could do that has a Facebook app. And so they had to put it back on.
Yeah, so it is back on. And there's also other clips on there, Tim, of kids that have done this and talking about it and everything. So I really wanted to do it. But then I thought, in reality, you know, the stalker, whoever that person is out there, Bill will tell you they can find all of your information. And then the ultimate thing, and I don't think I'm giving a spoiler, that deranged person can find out. Think about Google Maps, can find out where you live.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
People to find you in person. And that's creepy.
I'm surprised nobody has made like a full-length horror film about it.
I was just going to say, we need to talk about that, Bill. That would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you know what you can find out about people online and quickly. And it's quite frightening.
Yep, absolutely. Well, everyone, you're watching If These Walls Could Talk with your hosts, Wendy Stuart and Tym Moss, and our wonderful and incredible guest, Bill Oberst Jr.
Yes.
Now, I want to ask, do either of you in your family circles, do you celebrate a Day of the Dead?
Yes.
No. This is my family's ofrenda back behind me with pictures of loved ones and pets who passed on with little mementos of them. We have a papal picatos, and
Now, is that a Mexican origin?
Yeah,
Okay.
Dia de los Muertos, and the whole idea of the holiday is to remember, as long as there's somebody left to remember you, you're not truly dead.
Right.
And the little marigolds back here, they're tissue paper, and I make them myself. I start like in the summertime, because it takes about an hour to do one. Wow. And then by Day of the Dead, we have a little altar with all of them together.
Oh. Yeah, you have it all done up. I'm the only one in my family that celebrates it, because I have the whole altar and everything. I believe that even though people pass on in the physical form, I know that they're still very much with us. I know that. And beyond being beyond being in your heart, that person will come into your head when you least expect it, almost like helping you, Yes. So we have to honor the dead. I love that you do that.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think people think enough about death. And I don't mean that in a downer way.
It's not.
If I truly thought, all right, I'm going to die, and maybe today, then, okay, my first thought is, oh my God, no. But if I settle with it and I think, okay, this is really going to happen, then I think, what would I regret? And generally, it's not the things I've done, it's the things I haven't done.
Right.
Do I have relationships that I have not let flourish fully? Do I have love I haven't expressed? All of that. And just thinking I'm going to die, it changes the way that you live.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I always say, treat whoever you're meeting like I tell my husband and daughter this. Always treat them like it may be the last time you see them. And I, honest to God, actually follow that, because
in the city, it may well be the last time. It may be the one and only time.
Yeah. And the thing is that death is something that nobody's going to escape. It's going to happen to everybody eventually. Right. Yeah. But especially in our society, because we get so busy and we're constantly pushed of work, money, and that you're going to live forever or something. And so they just never want to think of the inevitable.
So I think that's a function of horror movies, good horror movies, and that's why I like being in the industry, because we help people to face death head on and get a little scared. And then at the end of it, they can say, you son of a bitch, one day you're going to get me, but not today.
I love that. And also, I was talking last week, we had on the two people from FearCon Phoenix, and we were talking about what makes a good horror film, what turns people on. Part of it is we have such terror in our lives, it could be reality, but watching a film on a screen, almost you're outside looking in. Yes, it could happen, but it's not an actual reality. It's not even like we've all had those scary dreams where you dream I have those dreams. I go to this one place frequently, and it's been for years. It's very scary when I'm there. I take a train there and I wake up and my heart is just pounding.
And you don't know where it is that you're going?
I couldn't tell you, Tim. It's got buildings. It looks like it's the city, but there's lots of hills, and then it's surrounded by mud. And I see friends of mine that have passed there. They're giving me messages, and in the dream, I'm understanding the messages. But when I wake up, I don't always remember. But I take it as a sign. I believe in that, and I take it. It's a sign, right?
That's worse than the dream where you're naked on the escalator.
Right. Or when you're actually naked on the escalator. Right, Tim? It could happen.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah, it was just that one time.
Yeah, right. Only, right? Oh my gosh.
So what have you learned from, because you're kind of like the king of scary or of fear, I would say. You've done so many. What have you learned about horror, or that any words of advice or words of wisdom that you've?
Yes, the monsters are us.
Yes.
And we create our own monsters.
That is so true.
We create monsters by the way that we treat other people, and then we say, oh my God, it's a monster. Well, yes, it is, because of the way that you treated them. That's what I've learned. I try to follow what Boris Karloff and Lon Chaney said, and that is put the monstrous in humanity and put humanity in the monsters.
Oh my
Ah,
God, I love
like
that.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
great.
totally love that. It's interesting that you bring up Boris Karloff to me because I've loved horror since I'm a little kid. And
Yeah,
of
same
course,
here.
my first horror icon was Boris Karloff and the
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein, right? But it was the way. Here's the thing, Bill. You look a physical way. By the way, you're a very good-looking guy, but you
Mhm.
look like you could play you could be evil, right? And
Uh-huh.
Boris Karloff looked like he was intense and resurrected from the dead. And a lot of that has got to do with how successful you are in scaring your audiences.
Mhm.
Yes, and it's in the eyes. The one
Mhm.
close close proximity is very frightening. If I'm a little closer to you than I should be,
Yeah.
extended eye contact without
Uh-huh.
breaking it away, with maybe
Ah!
just an occasional,
Ah!
Ah, my God,
or and coupled
wow.
with Wendy.
Oh!
May I tell you something?
Ah!
Like that.
The whisper.
Oh yeah,
It's right. It's
So a
the intense
whisper,
eyes and the
close
whisper.
proximity, and eye contact. All of
Oh
those
my
together are really
goodness.
scary.
Those are scary, but and you are watching If These Walls Could Talk with your hosts, Wendy Stuart and Tym Moss, and our scary guest, the wonderful and very sweet Bill Oberst Jr.
And Tim, I want to tell
Yeah.
you something, that there are characteristics that make people say, don't trust this face. And I have most of them.
Oh, that's
It's
really,
true.
no, that's interesting.
Interesting.
Scientifically. Now, Wendy, you have the face that says, trust me, I'm not going to hurt you.
Right. And it also tells people you can take advantage of me. I will give you
Symmetry.
the whole story and not even blink. Oh, go ahead. Take
Symmetry,
everything I
dull
have.
eyes, softness,
Right.
you've got all of it. And then
God.
and Tim, I think you're in between, man.
Uh-huh.
But at least you're in between.
You could go either way.
Yeah.
So, Bill, what are these
I've been
characters?
told that before.
A Facebook test. What are the I love this kind of stuff. What are the characteristics of that, don't trust face?
Eyes, close set eyes, lack of symmetry, angular features, and all of these things are snake-like. And so this makes me think that somewhere in our reptilian brain, we say, don't trust things that vaguely resemble snakes. And I happen to.
Snake-like, but it could also be rat-like. I'm thinking, I know people that when I get that rat-like feeling, I know to go away.
Now, how interesting you say that, because anti-Semitic portrayals, anti-ethnic portrayals, for years and years have portrayed the hated subject, whatever it is, the propagandists portray them as rodents. Frequently, they will heighten the features so that they look more rat-like. This was done a lot in World War II. It's very interesting. So maybe there is something about rodents and serpentine things that we find vile. And so when we want to make another person seem vile, we say, oh, they're like a rat, or they're like a snake,
or he's a snake. Yeah.
Snake in the grass.
Yeah, we do say that, don't we?
Snake
Like,
in the grass.
we say,
Yeah.
Tim is a snake.
Yeah, meaning you can't trust him. He's
slithering. Slimy.
Well, Bill, now, currently, I think your residence is in LA. Is that right? But you're in South Carolina, where you're from originally. What was it like growing up in South Carolina? Like, what were some of your experiences, and how did you get the acting bug, or did you act when you were in school, or?
Yes, I did in school. Like most drama kids, I found myself in the theater. And when I heard applause for the first time on stage, I was like, I want more of that.
Yeah,
it was the only way I could fit in. But growing up in rural South Carolina was wonderful. I spent a lot of time by myself in the woods. I read a lot. I'm very much a country boy. I like nature and swimming in streams and ponds and climbing trees. So it was a really great childhood. We didn't have much money, but we had fun.
I grew up in the countryside of Indiana, so I can relate to all of that, the walk in the woods. And I think that kind of fed to where I'm fine with solitude. I'm okay, like, by myself, and, whereas a lot of people, they can't be alone. And yeah.
I'm a city girl that's totally always was into nature. I'm particularly into frogs. I love frogs. Frogs are like, because you said you went to swimming ponds, swimming holes. That's like my favorite thing. And being outdoors. I'm from the Bronx, okay, but that nature. So I live with 2 rabbits, a cockatoo, and a chihuahua, and nothing's caged. And believe me, in an apartment in New York, because no, I'm not kidding you. I really need to have that in my life.
I would never peg you as a frog girl.
I am a total amphibian, because work with me on this, you guys. They all have different expressions. Okay. And I have one frog in particular. So I have a second place in Pennsylvania to feed this nature girl thing. I have a frog that sits on the bench by the frog pond, and I can sit next to him and he won't move. I don't touch them because I'm afraid the bacteria from our hands, people don't think about this. When we're kids, we catch them, but I wouldn't want to be responsible for a frog getting sick or anything, but they fascinate me. The color patterns, there's a few different types. There's a frog I call the clown frog, with a mouth that goes from here to here, almost the way a pit bull's mouth would be. They're just fabulous. And you know what? I also like snakes. They're quite beautiful to me, and insects. So there you go.
Tim, do you have particular animal preferences?
Well, I don't know. I'm kind of a cat and dog person. I enjoy, the typical pets. Ferrets and stuff like that kind of creep me out, the rodent type of things.
I like lizards. You've gotten me to admit something I never admit, that I quite like lizards. And so the other day I was sitting out on the porch in the sunshine and I was reading, and a lizard came up and started to crawl across my toe, and I was just like, "Hey, buddy!" And then he crawled all the way up here, and
oh my god,
my face.
Oh my god, he gave you a kiss.
It was fun, and it was like we just had a relationship that we were just chilling together, and it was I liked it.
Cool. Well, the thing is, because the way I see it is, we're all one anyway. Humans and animal, we're all existing on this planet, and so we're all just kind of the same thing, just trying to survive and get through it all.
Right. Exactly. But it's amazing because you're very sensitive. I'm getting all this now to the animal world. Yes. The animal world is very much connected to the spiritual world. I don't have to, I have not been without a rabbit in 40 years. It's not because I'm a nut job. Well, I am that too, but I need to have, I've had rabbits always in 40 years. I've never been without a rabbit. That must be my, if you know about First Americans, right? Spirit animals. We each and every one of us on this podcast has a spirit animal.
Yes.
And it's important to connect to your spirit animal.
I believe that. Now, let me ask this. We're talking about these kind of subjects. Have either one of you ever, and it's hard to in an urban environment, but have you experienced or come into contact with the idea of earthing, of having your bare feet actually connect with the earth and the energy exchange?
Oh, I love that.
It's amazing.
Well, I mean, I never intentionally did that, but I love being barefoot in the soil.
Me too.
Yeah,
right.
I love that.
You connect to the earth. It's called earth energy, right? And you connect to it through your feet, but it actually goes through your whole body, if you know about that.
So I always liked it, and then I read about it, and I thought, aha, that's why. So I stuck my shoes in a little culvert in Griffith Park, and I was going to walk barefoot up to the observatory, and I did, and I came back, and my shoes were gone.
Oh,
so
great story.
So I had to walk all the way back to Franklin Street in Hollywood,
barefoot,
God. Which was an experience. But so from then on, I would just carry my shoes with me. But it was
You
know what? They'll think about this. Whoever took your shoes needed them. So without realizing it, you performed. It wasn't some Hollywood
another shoes. Yeah, right. Another living being.
Another living being was walking around in your shoes.
You're watching.
When you look like this, if you're sweaty, grungy, and barefoot, people.
Yeah, I know. I got it.
They give you wide space.
Yeah, I know. Right?
I will never be mugged.
You are watching If These Walls Could Talk with your hosts, Wendy Stuart Tym Moss, and our wonderful and fabulous guest, Mr. Bill Oberst Jr.
Yay. So, Bill, I wanted to ask you, you also, this is interesting to me. You can be the most ghoulish, horrific stalker, but you also play historical figures. How do you make that transition, and who do you play?
Well, it's interesting because I was talking to a buddy of mine yesterday, Ezra Buzzington, and we have a similar kind of a look, and we play these same kind of characters. But I was saying, Ezra, what kind of stuff are you getting beside horror? And he said, period stuff, man. And I was like, Me too, because I think the feeling is that people were uglier in previous times, are rougher looking. So guys like me and girls who look will get cast in period pieces. So for me, it's not a transition at all. You're just playing the human being. I got to play Abraham Lincoln.
Right.
And Lincoln's always been a great, great hero of mine. So I really loved it. But I like the freedom of a period piece because you're not so constricted. We give historical figures a wide berth of emotions. You know?
Interesting.
I never thought about that, because I would think, because in the movie that I star in Junk, I portray Miss Lily, who was an actual human being. And when I found out she was an actual human being, I'm like, oh my God, because I thought, oh, I've got to be just like her and have her mannerisms and do all of the, all the added pressure. I never thought, that you could have some flexibility with some of the, because
I've played people on stage who are still living, and what you're doing is you're pouring, you're sifting. That's the word. You know how my grandmother had a sifter for a flour sifter. Yeah. You're sifting their souls through yours, and so it's coming out. It's coming out through the little holes in you. So it's a nice mixture, like flour.
That is, I love that.
Can I steal those words? I'll give you credit. Soul sifting.
My grandmother would love it.
Soul sifting. That's amazing. Wow.
But now you've played Abraham Lincoln, John F. Kennedy, Mark Twain, and Jesus.
Ray Bradbury.
Yes.
And Jesus and Ray Bradbury. Yes. So, I mean, how do you prepare for these different roles?
Respectfully. Respectfully, because they're real people. And so you really want to respect their worldview. How did they see the world? Ray Bradbury said, every person, it's your responsibility to say to the world, this is how I see you. This is how I act you. This is how I dance you. This is how I paint you. This is who you are. And so that's what I try to come up with for every character is, if they were to look at the world, what would they say? This is who you are. And if it's a malevolent, cynical person, then they would say, you are my enemy. And if it's Abraham Lincoln, he would say, you are a flawed fool just like me, and so forth and so forth.
Wow.
Interesting.
Oh, you mentioned Ray Bradbury. I think you want to, let's do the clip now.
So the clip you're going to see is of a one-man show. It's a solo stage adaptation that I've done for 6 years now. And it's of Ray Bradbury's story about the last dead man on earth, called Pillar of Fire.
Interesting. Let's take a look.
Yeah.
Take a look at the clip.
Envy moves you, nothing else. You're not immortal. You're not even alive. You're nothing but a moving hate.
He came out of the earth, hating. Hate was his father. Hate was his mother. Autumn. I am a coffin, a shroud, a monkey's was burning the land down into ruin. For the love of God, Montresor, for the love of God.
Yes, for the love of God.
Wow. 500 dead people.
Whoa.
That was amazing.
Oh my God, bravo.
The interpretation and the voice.
The intensity.
Right,
God.
Well, he's in a world which no longer allows superstition or anything dark or anything that could possibly lead to less than a happy world. So everything that's dark or questioning has been burned, and all the corpses have been burned, and the cemeteries are gone, but they missed one. And he wakes up and realizes, I'm the last dead man on earth, and the only way I'm going to get friends is if I create more.
Wow,
that's brilliant.
That was just intense, really.
I would well, actually, thank you, everyone. You're watching If These Walls Could Talk with your hosts, Wendy Stuart and Tym Moss, and our incredible guest, Bill Oberst Jr. I wanted to talk to you about you have received accolades, you've received awards. Can you talk about a few of those or some of your favorites?
Well, I'm sure you two have awards too. I mean, in this business, like you can check out at Ralph's in Hollywood, in my neighborhood, and you can say, oh, I got an Emmy. She'll go, oh yeah, I got 2 of those.
Yeah. But so I mean, an Emmy?
It's that way. But there was one that actually meant a lot, and that was the Lon Chaney Award, because it was the first Chaney Award they did, and it was presented by Lon Chaney's great-great-grandson, Ron.
You got it.
Wow, that's so amazing.
And that meant a lot to me, because when I was a kid, we had, there was no VCR, and the only way to see old movies was, if you were lucky enough, you got to, somebody ran them. And so I went to, when I was Halloween, like 12 or 14, the Rotary Club ran some old spooky movies, silent movies. And they had a print of Phantom of the Opera. And it was the first time that I saw Lon Chaney in that scene where they pull the mask off. And it really impacted me as a kid, because, I mean, yeah, he was horrible. He was frightening, and he was monstrous. But at the same time, he was hurt, because he only asked her to do one thing, which is, don't look at my face. But that's the one thing she had to do. And suddenly when she saw what he looked like, everything else went away, because all she could see was the monster. And man, that stuck with me.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow, that is like so philosophical when you think about it and apply it to real life. The reveal of the monster.
That's right. And can we accept that there may be a monster in you or me or all of us, but there are also sweet and beautiful and good things, and they're encased in the same frame. We don't do well with that. We like to say, this is bad, this is good, and I'm good and you're bad, and we're not good with mixtures.
Right. Well, look at society today with Instagram, Facebook, with social media, all of that. It's always people putting their bet with filters and trying to make themselves look the best and look heaven forbid should they wake up, take a picture, and post it in their pajamas,
Oh God.
I would never do that.
Assuming you wear
did you do that, Tim? You posted in your pajamas?
Actually, my best friend Nancy from Indiana, Nancy and I, she's making a book, actually, because I'll wake up in the morning. You saw my hair earlier when we started. I'll wake up looking like that, and I'll just take a selfie and send it to her, and she'll send one of herself to me with her hair all over. So
I love it. I totally love it.
But I have a question for you. You scare people. You're good at scaring. You've mastered that craft. What scares you?
That's a great question.
That is a superb question. I think the only thing that consistently scares me is the thought that there may be no meaning at all in life. I don't believe that, but I've played characters. I did a movie called Circus of the Dead, and my character believed that life was so random that the only response to it was to do whatever you wanted, whenever you felt like it, whether it hurt other people or not. And that, it frightens me. So I continually try to find and apply meaning to life, because I'm afraid that if there's no meaning whatsoever, I know myself well enough to know what I would slide into. Flannery O'Connor in the short story, The Misfit, she plays with this idea, because the misfit says there's nothing left to do because life is meaningless, and there's nothing left to do but to hurt you, and to kill you, and to kill anybody else that I want. And that's what meaninglessness in life means. And so that's what frightens me.
But, I'm going to throw this back at you then, Bill. I know a lot about parallel universes. Where does what you just said, if life has no meaning, then how does it connect to parallel universes? That right here, right now, we're having this conversation, but somewhere else, there's another conversation. We just don't know about it because we can't see it. How do you think that meaning plays into all of this?
Well, I like the idea of parallel universes. Sagan said the the universe is one of two things, and both are unimaginable. It's either finite, it has an edge, or it's infinite, which means that all possibilities exist. And what you're talking about, all variations of this world must exist in an infinite universe. And I like that because, I mean, it means that there's other chances, right? I think about this too with time travel, that, you know, I think, oh, is it possible? Is it not possible? And I think, well, maybe it's happening right now. Because if I went back to when I was 16, and if I didn't know it, then I may be there now, or I may be here now.
Right.
All at the same
Interesting.
time.
Yeah. Right.
I totally love all of this. They just came out and successfully saw into the galaxy further than they ever had with the James Webb telescope. This is fact. And what they're saying is it's letting us see times billions of years ahead or billions of years behind. Now, this is a hard concept for me to wrap my head around, because, like, what does it look like, you know?
Yes.
And how does this telescope, what is it seeing through? Protons, neutrons? Like, how does it do it? Think about that.
But we're looking into the past when we look at these.
Right.
These other
We
stars.
can look into the past, or are we way ahead in the future? Like, where are we?
Our own sun, what we see right now is happened 8 minutes ago.
Right. Well, we're here on If These Walls Could Talk. That's where we are.
Exactly. With your host, Wendy Stuart Tym Moss, and our wonderful guest, Bill Oberst Jr.
And you know, this broadcast that we are doing is going to exist as long as there's digital forms of communication. And so I did an episode of I've got a short fiction podcast for bedtime called Gothic Goodnight. And I did an episode where I invited people to leave messages for future listeners who may hear it. But that's something I think of too, that what we're talking about right now, long after we're dust, this moment will still exist.
Yes, I agree. And
like seeing them in a bottle.
And I'm happy to be sharing this moment with the two of you.
Yes.
What would you say? What would you say if someone in the far distant future is somehow able to access this broadcast? What would you say?
You need to know what we were going through at this point in our lives, like everything that happened in the last, for us, that, you know, the decades that we're on this earth. We're here to tell you about that. We're here to archive that, because you know what? We can never and should never lose our history. We cannot move forward unless we know where we came from.
Yes.
This was us in 2022. Peace.
We had on a sequin tank top. I have my little ghoul baby with me, and Bill is.
I would just tell them two things. One, be careful with your cruelty. I know it's really fun to dish out, but that shit sticks. And then secondly, I would say, don't judge a book by its cover, because you do so at your peril.
Absolutely. Very good sound advice. Now, can you give us a list of some of your favorite films that you've done, or television, or what you would like to leave our audience with?
Well, I've done about 200, and about 5 of them are good. And
stop.
You know, Wendy and I were talking before the broadcast started about some of her work in what are called B films, and I've done a load of them myself, and they're fun. I really like independent films. The quality can be variable. Things I'm particularly proud of are Criminal Minds.
Yes,
great show.
I had a recurring character on that who lived, one of the few Criminal Minds killers who is still alive.
Oh, cool.
I did a film called The Retrieval, which was a African-American coming-of-age story set in...
I think he froze.
And then I like my art house films, my cult films. I've done a couple in Mexico, one recently called Dis, that I really like, because you have the opportunity to explore some of the darker sides of human nature that you can't do in mainstream film.
Absolutely.
So, but it's always a privilege to work in this business, you know, because there's so many people who want to work and don't.
Yeah.
Right. It's a privilege.
So finally, how can people find out more about you?
Oh, I don't know if they want to do that. But,
I've never had anybody say that.
How about your work?
I have a website. It's billoberst.com, and it's completely non-promotional. Like everybody said, oh no, you need to put, make people want to stay on your website. I was like, no, I just want people to have sort of an experience.
I love it. And that's what I love about your website.
So that's what I did. And then I'm also on Twitter at Bill Oberst Jr. And I love Twitter, but I hate Facebook because people send Facebook messages like, hey, what's up? How do I respond to that?
That's interesting. I love Facebook, and I love because I put up these great pictorials and it lets people know what's going on. I get work from it. I don't like Twitter because as much as maybe I'm not proficient at tweeting, as much as I tweet, it doesn't bring work in. Maybe I'm not doing it right.
But Wendy and Tim, I'll ask you both this because it's plexed me on Facebook. If you like one comment, do you have to like all?
No.
No, huh?
But people get their feelings hurt. And they're like, hey, I noticed you didn't like my comment.
You didn't see it. They can't, they don't know if you were there or not, right?
Exactly. No, just only comment or like what you want and then and move on. That's it.
Really?
Oh, God, yeah. No, don't feel obliged that you have to do. No.
You're under no pressure, Bill.
Yep. I feel the pressure.
The Facebook pressure.
People write me and they say like, hey, my cat is sick and stuff like that. And I respond, but I don't know like how many messages before it's over. I really hope that Fluffy feels better. Yeah, the doctor said it's probably a urinary infection. I really hope it gets better. Bless you always. Yeah. Today and I don't know how many.
Just the one comment.
One comment, right?
Would do just the one comment.
Bill, the praying hands. That's a good one, right, Tim?
Does that mean it's over?
No, you can just do that and it shuts it right down. Right.
Praying hands means it's over.
Like three of them.
Unfortunately, we have to pray now. But Bill Oberst Jr., thank you so much for taking some time and hanging out with us and allowing us to get to know you a little bit better. We're here on If These Walls Could Talk.
Right.
It truly was a joy. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, and now that's over. Now we can just kick back and chat for a little while.
We have so many comments.
Yes, we do. We've got a lot of comments.
Yeah, you got a lot of comments.
Are they bad?
No, they're nice.
No, Marvin F. Camilo Valentine. He's my friend. He's the one that produces the show that I'm doing on Saturday. He just said, what was it? Oh, he goes, Tim Moss, I got the same look right now. That was about my hair sticking out. We've got hearts and smiles.
John
do we have any praying hands?
Any praying hands?
No praying hands.
I'm going to start using that to end text conversations. Like,
yes.
That's it.
Done.
I thought
over.
A smiley face meant we're done, but I don't think a smiley face means we're done anymore. They keep going.
I don't think so either. I think it just means I liked it.
Smiley face is liking.
Sons, hugs, and kisses. Have Cheetah Will View says, greetings, Bill. Dawn Hinton says, I'm here. Hello, Bill. I love your films.
Thank you, Dawn.
Dawn's great. Hi, Dawn. I hope you're feeling better.
Have Cheetah Will View says, Bill can play hero or villain extremely well.
Is that true? Yes.
Nick Lyon says, hi, everyone. Great show. Fascinating guest and topic.
Fascinating
guest. Love the Day of the Dead for remembering our loved ones.
Oh, yes. Wonderful.
Absolutely.
There's
I want to give a shout out here. Jay Michaels. Thank you. You said you have to have Bill on your show. He's fantastic.
Oh, I love Jay.
Jimmy Starr, the most amazing PR person in the world. Of course, you've been on Jimmy and Ron's show. Shout out to Jimmy and Ron who love you.
Absolutely.
Jimmy was excited.
Dawn Hinton also says, please tell Bill that I absolutely love him and that I love Circus of the Dead.
Oh, that's a scary film.
Yeah.
Cool.
Of course, Dawn has seen that film. Of course,
I've got to watch that tonight.
Yeah. No, it's highly disturbing.
Oh, I love it. I like scary, twisted.
I like the scary.
Okay.
Well, what year was that film? What year was Circus of the Dead? Because it's ringing a bell for me.
2014.
Okay, I haven't seen it.
It's recent.
Yeah, it's re-released. I'm a homicidal necrophiliac. Nihilist clown.
Oh, sweet. Oh my God, that's creepy. That's creepy.
Yeah, the necrophiliac is what pushes it over.
Well, you do a lot of necrophilia, right? You did Brutal as Hell. You were like a flesh-eating head of a family.
So what is up with that? With me and necrophilia?
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
Do you have that on your resume as like special skills or something?
Yeah, when acting's not working, you know, I'm a necrophilia counselor.
Right, you can eat flesh in your spare time. Dawn actually wants to know what your upcoming horror films are.
I do not have any upcoming horror films at the moment. I've got an ABC show that I just booked.
Oh, sweet.
I can't say the name of it yet, but I go to start it next week in LA. So hooray.
Fabulous. Yeah, I love, honest to God, I love horror, but I love your versatility as an actor. You know, so often we're told, oh, you get pigeonholed. It's the business that tells you, oh, don't get pigeonholed, right? It's up to us as performers to just go out there and find our light, whatever that may be, whether it's a historical figure or horror films, or we know instinctively what our niches are. And I can tell you, most of the advice I've gotten from professionals in this business, it's been like, who are you talking about? I look like behind my shoulder to see if there's someone else in the room.
And you know, Wendy, it's because they don't know.
They don't know. So just say you don't know, you know?
All they know is what worked for them, and we have to figure it out. That's why all of these books about, 5 secrets to make it and 10 things you must know, I think it's bullshit. You have to get in there, start making your mistakes, and find out, who am I?
Yes. Yep.
I agree. So, I don't know how to ask this, but about getting into film, and did you do that in LA?
Yes.
Okay, because that just seems like such a huge ocean out there of like, how did you start? How did you get your feet wet in there?
Through a historical role, through the History Channel did a docudrama about General William Sherman, and on a lark, I did a video audition, sent it in, ended up getting called to go to Washington and to audition for the role, and I got the role, and I was like, oh my God, I don't even know where to look in the camera. Do I look in here? This thing?
Right.
Oh my God, I love that. You were so new. You didn't even know what your highlight should be.
I mean, I knew cut, but generally, if they like a take, they'll say moving on. I had no idea what that meant. I was like, moving on. Right. So that's the first thing I did, and then from there, I got an agent in LA. And she said, oh, well, we'll make you sort of the soccer dad. That ain't happening. So an early casting director pulled me to the side and said, dude, you're like the soccer dad who's going to kill the team and eat them.
No, I love that. That's like a great.
So I found my niche.
The soccer dad that's kind of like,
yum, eat him up.
Bill, Wendy.
Be afraid. Be very
I love that.
afraid.
Zoom in. Tilt the head.
Oh, you got to tilt the head, Tim.
Yeah, you taught me that. That's great.
Tim?
Yeah. I think it's the tilt and the blink. I'm starting to think. Like if it's blink and drag, I think it's tilt and blink.
Totally.
That's it. That's
blink, whisper. Tilt, blink, whisper.
Right.
Tilt, blink, whisper.
Unless you're being attacked by like a group of really serious people who want to harm you, and then you just pee yourself and scream.
Yeah. There you go. That's a great direction. Okay.
In Latin. Scream in Latin if you can.
Dios mío.
So I have a kind of an out there question for you.
Well,
there have been horror films where very bizarre things have happened on the set. And I believe it's because even though it's just a film, right, you're conjuring things up. Have you been on a set where weird stuff has happened?
Yes, I have. And I
want to hear about that.
I've been in a theater show also where I believe that we legitimately conjured up some dark stuff.
Wow.
And we had somebody actually come down to the theater who was sort of a ghost hunter, quote unquote. And was like, whoa, what is in here? I've been on film sets where I'm playing these really dark characters. There's one called Children of Sorrow. I played a cult leader, and I lived in the role completely. because they really wanted to get it right. And it was very, very scary. And there were things that happened with the other actors with doors and windows. We were out in the desert. Strange winds that came up.
Strange winds.
It felt like something not good was happening.
Right.
Wow.
And that you conjured, you know, this is something like First Americans know about, like the wind, right? And the ability through one's thoughts and actions to be able to conjure things up. Did you ever have anybody die on a set?
Never had anybody die on a set. I've had 2 people die in theater performances, not by my hand.
Wow.
Of natural causes. One we knew about during the show and had to stop and carry them out. And the second one didn't know until afterwards that she had passed. But I'll tell you that playing these dark roles, people are like, oh, well, you know, it's just a role. But Wendy and Tim, it gets in your head.
Yeah.
And so afterwards, you have to do something with it. And it stays behind. And yeah, it can really stick with you if you don't consciously purge yourself of what you just done. Because I've done some really dark stuff on screen.
Right.
I was going to ask you what do you have to go through to do that? Okay.
You have to give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to plunge.
To release.
It's a really dark pool, and saying, I am going to strip and dive into this pool right now, and I'm giving myself permission to do it. But then you also have to keep watching, where's the railing so I can get out of here. Because if you play a killer enough, you will start to look at people as meat. You'll see them as meat.
Right.
Would it be easy to kill her? Would she go down? What would she be like?
Oh my God. Right.
Yeah. Wow. Now, have you had any characters that it was hard to let go of or that stayed with you for a while?
Yeah, there were a couple. One was the cult leader in Children of Sorrow. The other was the clown, although he was not a funny clown, in Circus of the Dead, because they were so dark. They stayed in my nightmares for a long time. Both of them.
My goodness. And see, these are things people don't realize.
So the cult leader, he was scary to me because he lied about everything, Tim. Even when he said, now I'm going to stop lying and telling you the truth, that also was a lie. So he was an onion which had no center. That's freaking scary to me.
Wow.
Because you peel the layers and then there's nothing.
An onion with no center. Wow.
And now, there are people like that.
Yes. I know a couple. Yeah. Wow. That's intense. Oh my God. This has been so cool. I love chatting with you.
I absolutely do. It's very, very interesting to me because what do we say? Art imitates life, imitating art. You know, you're bringing up some things that, like, certainly in your case, there's spillover. You get so into a character and you become. This is something that people can't understand unless they're a performer. You embrace that character and you become that character, and that character is pure evil. How do you let that go? And I'm sure there's stories of actors that couldn't do that, right?
And simply laugh and they say, you know, why do actors fall into such addictive behavior? And I think this is one of the reasons why.
But I mean, because it's so to portray a horrifying character accurately, you have to, like, it's totally submerge yourself, like you were saying, and think. You've got to have those thoughts, and you've got to have that, and that is a very frightening place to go. But
I think that all of celebrity carries this sort of devilish problem with it, whether it's in public life, any type of celebrity. If you play a role long enough, it starts to get in your head, and it's really hard to let go of.
That's
right. You become it.
You know, people think, oh, it would be really fun to stand on a red carpet behind a velvet rope, separate from the rest of society. But I mean, I know you guys know, because we've all done it, and it can get into your head, and not in a good way.
Yeah. You're you know, for me, I always remind myself, this reality that is happening at this moment behind this velvet rope or whatever is a speck in my life. I'm the same girl that can be on the subway, crowded, common, and you have it's keeping. You know, how do you Bill, how do you keep a healthy perspective then?
Yeah, especially with the characters you've done, celebrity you've achieved, and yeah, how do you keep that balance?
Well, dogs help.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Animals.
And people who have known you for decades, there's just no substitute because they'll call you on your bullshit in a minute, and I love that.
Yep.
Even my father, God bless him, who still tells me I need to get a real job.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff you need to hear. Is boy, you're gonna end up living on the street in a damn cardboard box if you don't listen to me. That's what I need to hear.
Yo, what the hell are you doing with your life?
Oh, I love what the hell are you doing with your life, Wendy? Look at your life, Wendy.
The hell are you doing?
Oh my God, that's great. So now, if you could do anything, if they're you know, like, what would be like your ideal classic performance?
I would like to do a redo of Phantom of the Opera, the way that the character is written. In the book, nobody threw acid in his face, and he's not a pretty guy that has a scar. He was born what we in previous times would have called a human oddity. His mother wouldn't even look at him. His father gave him a mask, and they sold him to a circus. He's been
my God,
freak for his entire life. He's been pushed to the outer fringes of society, and so this is what he becomes. And I've always wanted to play Eric. And it's in the public domain. So, hey, some young director, this could be done. It could be done.
Oh, I say let's do it. Definitely.
Oh my God, that would be totally fabulous.
And you put it out there in the universe, so it's gonna happen.
And we just did. I just blew it into the universe.
Oh my God. Oh, so Bill Oberst Jr., thank you again so much. I so appreciate your coming on and hanging out with us. This is absolutely great.
It's been so tremendous. I have to ask you, what are you going to be for Halloween?
Home.
Oh my God.
I do my Satan show the night before.
Okay.
So for Halloween, I'm looking right now at a witch and a werewolf and a pirate, which will be out on the porch doing all their little chatter.
Yeah. I love that.
I don't think they need my help.
I totally.
So you'll be at home handing out candy.
Yeah, you'll hand out
trick-or-treaters. I love that.
I love that you're doing. If you were in New York, I would come to your Satan show the night before.
I will bring it. I'm hoping to bring it to Theater Row. I've done United Solo with 2 of my shows, and I want to do another one. I love those people.
Yes, let us know. Let us know when you're out here. That would be great.
Oh, I have to ask you. I really love Asian food. Have you guys been to Ollie's across from Theater Row?
Oh God, I love Ollie's.
Everybody, yeah, it's really, really popular.
My good friend Sumat.
That's the main reason
that is our place.
That's the main reason that I want to bring the show back to United Solo. So
yes,
I can
go to Ollie's. I love that. Great reason.
You'll have to come to Ollie's, and it'll be my treat.
You are on. I will go to Ollie's anytime.
Absolutely. I'm accepting right now. Right? Fabulous. Bill, thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Talk with your host, Wendy Stuart Tym Moss, and our wonderful and fabulous guest, Bill Oberst Jr. Thank you.
Don't forget about Miranda.
Miranda.